Okay, welcome to today's tutorials on doing elevations. As you can see, there's this project that we're currently working on, and we're in the floor plan at the moment. And you can see that there is elevation markers right here that I'm clicking on. Now, when they're not showing up, I press Control L and press M for marker. I've got them under marker elevations. If I turn that off, sometimes you might find it without it on there, and you just need to turn it on. Control L, M for marker, elevations, turn it on and press update. Okay. Usually they'll be in every MasterCAD file that I've done a concept plan in already, and you just need to turn them on. And sometimes they're all over the place. They might not even be in the right spot. Because I haven't gone that far, and that's what we need to fix up in the documentation stage. Now, if that's the case, you turn the layer on and you can see that they're in different spots. So what I like to do is I'll click on a marker, then I'll press Control D. I'll click on the black dot. I'll bring it down to the brickwork on the corner, and I'd click this side and I'd use this option to stretch it, and I'd go to the edge of the building, and then I add in an extra 4 meters. So you can see the distance is showing 22,640. So I'd add in 4 meters, which would make it 26,640. Enter. And now you can see it's 4 meters extended to this side, and it's flush on this side. I want to even that out. So I'd press Control D, hold Shift, press R, move it over 2 meters. Okay. Enter, and then Control D, I'd bring it off 1 meter. And usually I'll have that marker. If you click on the black dot in the center, I'll line it up with that line, which will be invisible on the paper when you print it. But you can see it's getting a bit close. The edge of that's getting a bit close to the eave, so I'd probably take it off another 200 mil. And that's how I like it to set up the elevation. So basically, when you click on it, the line here, if you press M, you can measure and hold Shift and zoom in, and it's 2 meters overhanging. It overhangs 2 meters from the building, and that's what I like to do. And then you just go around and do the same thing with all of them. So if you press M, you can measure and just check if it's 2 meters. That's currently 1 meter. This one's currently 1 meter as well. We can actually make them overhang 1 meter. So if you line it back up with that, that'll be a 1 meter overhang. Actually, yeah, so just make them 1 meter overhang, sorry, not 2 meters. And then if you click on this elevation marker, and you can basically line it up with the one that's already been put in there, because they're all 1 meter off anyway. So if you drag that down to that one, if you click on that, you can see it finishes there. So that's why I just used that as a reference point. Just a quicker way to do it. And then drag it off a meter. And you can see the dimensions are a bit close. You can see there's still one dimension that's sitting up there. It needs to be dragged back down to there. And then again, you need to drag that back down and this one back down. And it's a bit close to that concrete there, like I previously said in a video. So I'll just bring it down a little. And then I'll click on this one. So because the garage sits back from the front of the building, I'd actually drag it up to the front of the building for this particular one. Line it up at the back and then add in 4 meters. So 26,640. Control D, move it 2 meters that way, move it down a meter. And that's the elevation markers set up now. And then basically over here on the view map, you can see elevations already set up in the master file. You could just click on it and it's already showing the elevation. If these are not already in there, you'd go to here onto the project map and you go onto elevations and you can hold shift and click all of them. And then if you've got a folder elevations, then you click and hold that mouse in and drag it over. And then it comes inside of that and elevation folder. And then you'd highlight them all by holding shift and clicking on them all, right click, view settings, and make sure it's on elevations. And then you'd go to it and start putting all the notes in. So I'm just going to delete them back out again because we've already got it set up here. And now that you're in elevations, you just go elevation 1, A, B, C, D. You'd work your way all the way through, putting some notes in on the plans. And for starters, we can get rid of these ones. We can delete that. You can see there's already some notes in here. Some of them are not applicable. I'm just going to show you which ones are. So there's always going to be a COLORBOND, fascia, and gutter. And I just drag that over, Control D, till it hits the gutter. And I like all these notes to be exactly in the same line. So I'd click on that point there and then click this point and this one, and then hold shift and I can do a straight line. And then I go down as a reference and I line it up with that. So there's basically an invisible line going from there to there. It just looks neater on the page. This nail strip cladding note is not applicable, so I'm just going to delete it. I'm going to drag down the COLORBOND note. So Control D and you drag it down. And if you click on the roof, you can see what the pitch is 2250. So then click back on the note by just clicking this part and double clicking, highlight, and press 22.5 and click off it. And now you can see that's 22.5, that's 22.5. Then you can move on, and the box gutter and the cantilever note's not really applicable on this one. So these are just double up notes there. You only really need to note something once on the elevations. I've just got a panel lift door here, exposed brick. For that, this is just standard note, selected exposed brick. The client will confirm exactly what type of brick as they progress with the builder. And that note's not applicable. We don't have a pier there anymore. But what we do have, actually, we do have a pier there. So press Control Z and that'll undo if you've deleted something, and then press Control D to drag a note, and then press Control M and draw a straight line to mirror it. Press Control D to bring up the arrow close to what you want to point to. And Control D for the DP note, that's for downpipe. And I'll put them beside the downpipes. I've got a note for porches and alfrescos, and I always put them on bold 2.5, arrow narrow, Arial narrow. For fixed glass windows, I put FG note. This looks better. And I center it into the window and I go this way. I hold shift and Control D, and then I can get a measurement at the same time. That's 2 meters. So half of that would be a meter. So R 1000 and enter. And that's at 1.8 meters, 1.8 size, aerial narrow as well. And same 1.8 for the downpipes, just a little bit bigger for the porch and alfresco notes. If there's not dimensions in here, I'll just drag them to the side. What you do is click over here on the dimension tool, click up on the layer, and you can put this on elevation. Make sure it's a 1.8. It's not on italic and it's not on bold. So you'll see these two reference lines for the ceiling point and the floor point. So if you just click that, it'll automatically click up there, then double click and then click once more, press escape. And then you can move that around you can go left to right, or you can click on the actual number, right click, go into here, and you can put writing in there if you need to. So I put ceiling in there for the ceiling height. What I like to do is I click and I drag it to the edge of the brick, and I always press R and drag it off about 1 meter, and then Control Shift D, and I'll drag it another 800 mil. That's how I like to space it apart. Then I'd click on this one and hold the control button and click the top of the window, and then click again at the top up here to cut this off. And then I'd click on the number, right click or Control T. And then in here, press enter and node window / window doors. That's what I do. That's how I note it. And you just put those dimensions to one of the sides, either the left or right. I normally do it to the left side if I can help it, because you've got nodes here for the panel lift door. If I put those dimensions over here, as you can see, then I'd have to move these notes around so that they're visible and bring them down here. And I prefer just to keep them where I've drawn them. So that's why I put them to the left side there. If your garage was on the right, you'd probably put the dimensions over this side. And that's all I basically need to note on this elevation. If this fill and line work's not already there, like it is, it might show up like this. If you need to show more of the land, for example, if it's a sloping block, you can go right click on the elevation settings. And here you can actually show more of the land underneath if you want by just typing in. So usually it's at, say, 300. If it's a flat block, I put minus 300. But I just note as minus 1000 for now, just to be sure that everything kind of gets covered. So for example, if it's a 2-story house on stilts, you want to show those stilts and you want to show the fall of the land. So that's why you would go minus in order to show all of the stilts. So for this one, it's a flat block. What I like to do is I press, if there's no fill in there in a line at the moment, what you do is click the line, click the polygon, click on black. You can keep it an ArchiCAD layer because it's not going to show on any other plan. So there's no issue with that. You can just keep it an ArchiCAD layer. I like to draw at the bottom of the brick where the top of the slab. Double click, and then I'll click on the line, and I'll click on the dot, and I'll click this continue polyline, press R, 2 meters. Continue the line, press R, 2 meters. So then that's your line for your ground level, and then press Control D, drag it down. Just, maybe 100 mil. And then I change that line work to 0.5 millimeters, so it's more distinct. So if you press right click, true line weight, you can see it's a thicker line. So when it gets printed, it's more visible. So it shows you the ground line. When I'm actually in the CAD, using CAD, I like to take off the true line weight most of the time, just so that it's more fine. You can get into the detail a bit easier. You can see more. And then I'd click on the fill. I go up here to the pattern. If you type in EA for earth, it'll bring the earth fill up, and then I'd make that gray, not red. So I'd put it on this number 7 and press E for elevation and click on elevation. And then I'd click here, make sure it's on this one here, rotate a rectangle, draw a straight line. I'd click there and then just drag it down and press 1000 and enter and press escape. As you can see, it's got an area there. We don't need that. So click on that, right click, go to settings, untick the show area. And as you can see line work and slab behind it. So I'd click on this and make sure that the background pen is white. So then it covers everything behind it. So we're effectively just placing a fill over the top just to clean it up and make it a bit easier to read. You can also click on that, any arrow notes that go over the fill. You can go into the settings and you can put an opaque. This one is white, so I just leave it there, or you can click on white, press OK. Then it goes over the top of the fill, so there's no lines distracting it, so it's easier to read. Another way I like to do it, to be quick, is if I click on the fill and I draw the fill first, click, press enter, bring it down a meter, change it to white, take the area off, and then you can press escape, click the polyline tool and make it 5, and then just hover over the top of the fill and hold the shift key, and it draws a line all the way around. Press escape to go back. Control Z to go back. What I'd do, I missed a step. If you click on the edge there, click that, bring it over 2 meters. Take that area off. Click the edge, get that option, bring it over 2 meters. So I draw the fill first, then you can draw the line at 5, hover over the edge, click. Then I press escape and I click it, highlight it, and then press control and just trim off those. That's another way you can do it, which I found is a little bit quicker. Then I hold shift, I press control G to group these together, or you can press group down here. And then I bring it down just 100 mil. You can do 300 mil if you like, showing it before the backfill comes in, or you can show it after the backfill. So that's basically how you do the elevation. So it's just a matter of putting some notes in and making it presentable and clear and understandable. That's elevation 1. Then you click on B and you just go through and do the same thing. So sometimes if you're using the same notes over and over again, like in this particular one here, you could click on the marquee, hover over all of the elevation, click the elevation label, press Control A to highlight all of the arrow notes, and press Control D, and you can drag them all away. Then press Escape. So there's 2 fixed glass windows. We've already got an FG note there, so I'll highlight and delete the other ones. It's got a DP note there next to the downpipe, so that can stay there. This one, click on it, drag it down. We've already got some there actually, so delete that one, drag this a little bit closer. And there's another one down here, so highlight, Control Shift D. I've got an alfresco note there. I've put an opaque on this one just to make it more clear. We've got a brick pier there, so that would be good to have a brick pier note there. So drag that up, press Control M, Control D, put it close together, put an opaque on that note. And then we'll get an selected exposed brick. And we'll get a roof note, 22.5. And if I can press Control D, drag it out so it's lined up with that, and then click that and just bring that down. Actually, I might bring it a little bit off from there just so it's a bit clearer. Click on this one and hold shift, and I'll drag that down to line up. There's no box cutter. So the rest of those notes, this one's applicable. So I drag that up to there, press Control M to mirror it, and then extend it up. And the rest of them can delete. That's pretty much the other elevation done. Another way to do it, I'm going to remove these arrow notes, Control A, Control D, bring it out of the way. Control Z to undo. What I'll do is I'll Control D and bring it down, put 5,000 and enter. Because later I'm going to want to put them back up again. Just imagine these are not there on the page. You've got no arrow notes at all. Once you draw your first one, then you can do the marquee, highlight, Control A, press escape. So sorry, click on the label tool, press Control A. Then also for the other notes text tool, press Control A as well. And you've highlighted all the notes. Then you can press Control C. Then click on elevation B, go up to the top here, press Control V, and you're going to paste those same notes. So you don't have to rewrite them all over again. And then you just go through and place them. Then you drag that down and you change that to al fresco, obviously. You put that exposed brick one down there. And then you'd grab these three notes. You'd drag them down to there like that and Control D to drag it in. This panel lift door one, you'd delete. And then you can bring that one down to there. Something like that. So there's more than one way to do things. It's all just a matter of what's quick for you. So now I've just dragged that back up again. I remembered it was 5,000 offset. And that's your second elevation done as well. Then you just go through and to C and D and do the same thing over and over again. So on this particular one, the client had a different style roof at one stage. So if you've noticed any line work there like that, just delete that. The box gutter needs to be deleted. These other lines need to be deleted as well. Delete. Okay, so once you're on the elevation C, so I've just deleted those few notes. I'll delete this one as well. Sometimes I'll put some fills in over the top. This is a hot water system note. So I just centered that up with the hot water system. That's an AC note. It can stay. This one's not applicable. We'll get rid of that one. This one, I can click on that and just click the edge and bring that arrow back to the edge. These, press escape. Then I can highlight those two by just clicking the mouse and highlighting just that part. Then press Control D and click there. And I want to line this up with there, ideally. Click there, drag it back up and change the roof pitch to 22.5 degrees. And we need another downpipe node here. And another downpipe node over here, Control Shift D. Click on that, delete that. Exposed brick. It's a brick pier there. These two I'll highlight and delete because they're double up nodes. We've already got that noted down here. And that's pretty much that elevation done. So I normally note COLORBOND roof sheeting. I just keep it pretty general. And that's all I need to do for that one. And you can see that the mesh, the fill is already there. So just leave it as is. I'd click on that downpipe actually and just bring it over there, highlight it, put it on an opaque. And then that's all your elevations done. Actually, I haven't done C, so I'll just do C now. Delete that, it's not applicable. Drag the downpipe over to there. Click on that, delete that, we don't need that. Hot water system there. Exposed brick note. We'll use the one over here. So we'll delete that one. And we'll delete that note as well. Highlight. Bring that down to there. Control D, we'll line them all up. click, drag that arrow back to there for the brick pier and click on that arrow and bring that one over. This note, if I click on that and press Control D on that part, click there, click that, click this option, it allows you to kind of add this right angle and then click there and drag it up. So for this one, you could just drag it off a little bit, drag it up, and then click and drag it down a bit. It's an al fresco note there that can stay as is. And then if your dimensions weren't there, you'd put them back in again. So the window door dimension, it lines up at the top of the windows and doors. And then you got your ceiling dimension. These ceiling lines come, if you go up on design to story settings, there's ceiling level 2400. And if you change that, for example, 2700 and press enter, you notice that all came up. To change it back again, go back here and press 2400 and press enter. Okay, there's a downpipe note hanging out there. I've just brought that in. And that's all done. All your elevations are done. And if you click up on the layout book, go to elevations, double click. I've already got it set up here and they're all showing up now. You can see that this one is cutting out that note a bit. So you just click on the elevation, click that and extend the page down so it shows it. And if you like, you can pull the other one down. You just got to make sure all your notes are showing, everything's visible. I'd just bring that down slightly to make sure that it's going to print visibly. And everything else is showing except that one. So that's also cutting off the FL and CL part. So if I press Control D, I'll drag it over and extend it. And that looks good. And this one needs to be slightly extended as well. So it's just all a matter of presentation, making sure things are visible and legible. And I can squeeze 4 elevations on one page. And if you press M, you can see that all of these are in a straight line except that bottom one. And the reason why is because this bottom one, I've just moved it over. So you could click on each marker and press that button and hold shift to drag it left to right in a straight line and just drag it down in a straight line, hold shift. And then it makes sure they're all in a straight line. So it just looks more legible. Alternatively, you could drag them all, basically have them kind of matching with a little gap that way. You could do it that way if you like, but I just think it looks more presentable like that when it's all in a straight line. And then if you go over to the publisher set, so for the DA plans, you'd have your floor plan. And if you click on the layout book, then you'd grab your elevations and you'd bring your elevations over. And you'd also bring your site plan over. And you go site, floor, plan, and elevations. In the next tutorial, I'm going to teach you how to do the site plan. And if you click on the floor plan, that'll be your DA floor plan that you've dimensioned up and put your markers on. And you just got to make sure all of the dimensions are showing. So that one needed to be extended down. You could bring that there. I like to have them just sitting outside of the dimension strings, just enough to make sure there's no additional dimensions. And then I press Control D on this black dot and I hold shift to get a straight line. And then basically I bring it over 2 mil because there's a little dot there, a reference point. That little reference point is here as well. That's the center of the page. So the reason that I bring in all the edges just outside the overall dimensions is so that I can then center it on the page relevant to the size of the actual drawing, the house and the dimensions. So basically it looks more centered on the page if I do it like that. That's why I do it that way. And then I have a north symbol up there, which I can cover how to do that in another time once we get on the site plan. So you got your floor plan. Now you've got your elevation set up. So you've done 2 pages of the DA plans now. And then you do your site plan, and I can show you how to do that next. So I hope you've learnt a bit for the elevations. And until next time, thanks.